Welcome to the Spiritually Lit meeting. Each week, we're honored to host powerful speakers from around the world sharing their stories, experiences, and hope with us. All of our speakers are recorded and shared through our Enogram YouTube channel and our audio speaker WhatsApp group so the message can reach those who need it. If you are listening to this recording and you're struggling, seeking help, or simply have a question, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact us anytime at spirituallylit24.com at gmail.com, and we promise to get back to you. And tonight we asked Theresa F. to share her experience on the topic depth and weight for the next 40 to 45 minutes. After that, the meeting will be open for sharing back. Theresa, we'll give you a sign 10 minutes before the time's up. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experience with us.
Put that thing up, don't even pay attention. Hi, everyone. My name is Theresa. I'm an alcoholic. Grateful to be here. I disappeared. Grateful to be sober because of a loving God. Whatever. I ain't running anything. I'll try to pay attention. Thank you for allowing me to participate in the meeting. I want to stay sober today. I'm always nervous and uncomfortable, and this is awkward. Didn't mean to scare. Who was it who was calling me? I just had a family emergency, so that's kind of set me back a little bit. And just praying on what we're gonna do about that. I was awoken to that. Tend to have a lot of family crisis and emergencies. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit over it. But anyway, just thought I'd get that out there. Like enough, uncle. I want to welcome our new friends. Welcome home. Please keep coming back. Old timers, thank you for my life and my sobriety. I still want what you have. My sobriety date is March 29, 1990. But for the grace of God and sponsorship and fellowship, I've been with you all for the last 35 years. I came to you at the age of 24. I'll be 60 in a couple of weeks. I'm not 24 anymore. I've grown up in these rooms. I am sober. I haven't drank or used longer than I was drinking and using. So this has become a working part of my mind and my body. This is the new norm. But need I never forget how easy it would be for me to go right back to there as though I had never left. And I'm mindful of the insidiousness of this disease. I never rest on my laurels, get complacent and comfortable, and because I've been so removed for so long, think I got this thing and that I'm out of the woods because I'm not. Oh, it's funny how life be happening. Here I have some pretty bad news crisis and sitting before me. I didn't notice it. I must have came in yesterday and they put it on my chair, but I haven't completely opened it, but I got my diploma of graduating with a bachelor's with a double major. I'm gonna open it. I was starting to open it when you guys started. I was like, oh my God. Ah, Bachelor's of Arts, Sociology and Religious Studies, and magna cum laude. Still don't know what that means yet. Never quite sure what those terminologies are, but it must be important because they put it on there. And that is by the grace of God, and the fellowship and support. I'm very proud of that. And I obtained that through COVID, through mother with Alzheimer's, with partner being disabled. Like, it's just amazing to me that I got through school, but yet at the same time, it's not. Because I've learned about resilience and suiting up and showing up. That's what the program taught me, regardless of what's going on in your life, and being accountable and make a commitment and you show up to it. And so I'm very proud that the program has been instilled in me enough for me to make such an accomplishment. And that's my me time, my God time. I find school is never really nobody really I hate to say that nobody really cares. But it's not as important as it is for me. It's just something that I get to do that's fun. There's no end game. I'm a priest by trade, and anything that I can do to support and enhance my ability to be of service to God's children is important to me. Um, and when I said, God, take all of me, good and bad, what will you have me be? What will you have me do? This is the journey that I've been on. Gave my life to God, and and what a journey it's been in 35 years. And I drank and used my entire life. I'm born addicted. And if you're new, please listen to similarities and not the differences. I heard take what applies and put the rest on the shelf. Maybe need it later. It was by listening to all of you and your stories that I was able to identify what is my relationship with alcohol and drugs, and how does it fit, and what makes me an alcoholic, what makes me an addict. Isn't it that everybody drinks and uses? And certainly everybody does. If I'm around them, everybody in my family are alcoholics and addicts. Um, it is for generations. That's the way we've lived. It is the norm. Everybody does it. There is no question about it enough for me to be born addicted and for alcohol to be given to me as a baby. I'm reflecting on that. I don't think in any other healthy family that would be acceptable, but it wasn't mine. You would think with everybody in the family being aware that you're giving an infant alcohol, or, even as I started growing up and I have alcohol in my sippy cup, that somebody other than my dad and my grandmother would be like, this is not normal. You know what I'm saying? This is not normal. Why are we doing this? But instead, everybody just participated. And I should have died from it. That was my mother's intention. That's what she was hoping, that I would die from alcohol poisoning. But I didn't. My body received it, welcomed it, and looked for more of it. I drank my entire life, every single day, all day, with no breaks. I drank in my home. I didn't have to hide it. I didn't have to pretend that I wasn't doing it. I sipped my drinks. And then as I graduated in, because this is Cocaine Anonymous, right? I get to share all the other things that I did. I didn't even realize that it was the disease progressing. But as I began to graduate into other things like marijuana and cocaine, those things were given to me as well at home. I didn't do them outside. I didn't do them with friends. I grew up with physical abuse, verbal abuse, and sexual abuse. That was the norm. And that went on for generations in our family. I mean, my mother is a product of incest. Everybody did it. I was taught to tap into this world of spirit. I think that was my grandmother, my father's way of giving me something other than the world of abuse. Little did they know that later I was going to be able to utilize that teaching, that was really going to be my future, my saving grace was the world of spirit and a relationship with God. But as I was growing up and as I lived with alcohol and drugs, it was two separate dimensions. They did not exist among one another. It was two worlds entirely. The world of spirit and earth, planet Earth. And in order for me to survive this world, alcohol and drugs, I believe, protected me. It was my nurse, my therapist. It assisted me. It kept me emotionally detached. I had no feelings. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. Not quite sure if I would have survived. And there are people who have experienced abuse that didn't necessarily turn to alcohol and drugs, and they found their own survival mechanism, whether it's escaping in books, or fantasy. But it was all about, getting out of that reality. I mean, it was pretty intense. I always say when I did my inventory, it was like a Goodwill Hunting experience. I refer to movies a lot. It gives me visual ideas of how I lived and what I experienced. But I say it's Goodwill Hunting. And there's a scene in there where he's talking to the therapist, and the therapist keeps telling him, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And that's really how my sponsor did with me. She kept saying, it's not your fault. And I know that in our inventory, it says where are we at fault, but she needed a minute to say, it is not your fault. You know what I mean? She was like, wait a minute. All that happened to you was not okay. And that was the first time I really had heard that from anyone. And she even said to me, I know that it says anger is a dubious luxury for normal men. And for the alcoholic, we can't afford to do it, but you need to be pissed. And she literally gave me a week where I had to be angry at everybody because I wasn't even upset at people. I mean, I really thought it was normal. I've been sharing this. Not every alcoholic is a bull in a china store. That's not how I was. I didn't create havoc. I didn't bother anybody. I live like a fly on the wall. God forbid you notice that I'm in the room. If you notice I'm in the room, you're going to do bad things to me. I had the Harry Potter cloak, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm invisible. And so alcohol gave me no name, no identity. I can be a shadow. And if I was vibrant and lit up, it was for entertainment or always trying to be kind and considerate just so people could like me and be nice to me and not hurt me. And so in school, I always just trippy that people find me in Facebook and I always have to tell them, can they tell me a little bit about me? And they all say that I was kind and I was spiritual and always laughing and very worldly. I was far mature beyond my age. I went to Catholic school. I was obedient. I crossed the T's and I dot the I's. I didn't burn bridges. I didn't really establish any. Why would I need anybody? Why would I get close to anyone? I took care of my mother. My mother was the drunk, and she was suicidal and went in and out of mental institutions. And I was beaten and mistreated, but I just did the best I could to take care of, make everybody happy. And alcohol allowed it to be like none of that mattered. It's interesting when people do find me from school, they say they knew that I was in pain. Nobody could do anything for me. They would see broken bones and burnt cigarettes and bruises. And I even drank when I was in school. And everyone had a sense of powerlessness. And so they just did the best they could, whether it was to give me a meal. And so alcohol was a way of life for me to exist. And it was my friend. And it was the oxygen that ran through my veins. And as I got older, I would say alcohol's like my puppet master. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like a chess piece on a chessboard. It dictated every single area of my life. All my decisions were based on it and where it was going to fit in. I even had line items. I had a spreadsheet of my expenses, and those were expense that was on my expense sheet. Cavassier, my marijuana, and cocaine. Since we're the ones that put drugs on the street, I sold cocaine. I had kilos. This was a way of life. I would say I lived like Michelle Pfeiffer on Scarface. I was into money, property, and prestige. I dressed up my outsides. I had no idea I was dying on the inside. I was the walking dead. I didn't even know it. As long as my outsides were put together and my house was immaculate, I think that's why I get uncomfortable when it's messy. I have to have everything in its place. It looked like that magazine, something digest where everything was just And I didn't know I was doing that so that you wouldn't see the horror and the darkness. I didn't realize I was doing that. Just making sure that all my outsides look okay. So God forbid you ever notice that something could be terribly wrong on the inside. I don't recall doing that. I just did that. And again, I referred to movies. I don't know if anybody ever saw the portrait of Dorian Gray, but it was more like I lived immaculate out here, but yet I have this portrait, up in the attic, right? Of all the decay and the horror of everything that's in there. And I thought I was a real mean bitch, but really I wasn't. I had a sense of arrogance about me as I got older because I come from a world that you require the character defects that you asked me to remove around here to survive. If not, you wouldn't make it. And after a while of being so physically abused, I became the one that was running things and in control and managing and ensuring that no one would put their hands on me again. I picked up my friends and my cousins in the limousine from the crack house. My house was the party house. And they say never, never say never. I never thought I would say I would always say I would never smoke cocaine. I sold to most of you who smoked. It wasn't a pretty picture. But for whatever reason, this man I was with took everything I owned. I put a mattress in the middle of that bed. That he didn't do anything to me. I mean, he took everything. He just left me with a brass bed. I didn't put a mattress. He took the mattress. I put pillows in there. He hasn't done anything to me. I went upstairs to these gay boys. I used to sell to them. One of my biggest customers. I would sell to them, and I know they used to smoke. And I went upstairs to these guys, and I threw an 8-ball on the table, and I told them to cook it up. I don't know why I did that, y'all. And there was a guy there got on his knees, and he begged me not to do it, and I told him to mind his business. And that changed the trajectory of my entire career of drinking and using. But you see, I had lived flatline all along. So I always maintained with a little bit of drinking. I would drink Cavassier, smoke a little bit of weed, do some cocaine, and I had no heartbeat. I lived with no heartbeat. But if anybody ever know about smoking, it's short-lived. So I went up on a high and I crashed and I came down. And when I came down, it was as though I had been living in a coma and I was resuscitated. And all of a sudden, I was present to this thing you call life. And I had never been here, scared the living daylights out of me. And here is where I believe alcohol betrayed me, abandoned me, and left me emotionally retarded with no coping skills. Because alcohol now was no longer working. Because whatever that did changed whatever that was doing for me and to me. And in some ways, I'm grateful because I wouldn't have known that I was an alcoholic. I would not have known that I had the disease had I been living that way. If I had never tried, I really believe, I don't know if I would have progressed to the point. Alcohol is very slow. You know what I mean? It'd be like later in life. But I would not have known at such an early age how sick I really was. And that is what changed my life. Now I'm selling ficus trees in the middle of the night. I'm selling all my jewelry, hanging out with people who all of a sudden getting butt naked, going in closets. I mean, it was a haunted house, the things that I was seeing and experiencing. And before I would go into the world of spirit and then the physical world. And now it seemed like the dark world was present in both places. And all I saw was dark entities. My bottom lasted 6 months. Most people do that for years. I just wanted the good old days back where I could just take a little sip, take a little puff, dress up and go out, and I couldn't do it anymore. Now the portrait of Dorian Gray was revealed, and now that's who was showing up. I like how Ralph says, employee by day and vampire by night, and one day the vampire showed up. I always remember when he said that, man. And I own companies, and I couldn't dress up my outsides anymore. I couldn't fix the picture. And that was horrible to me. And now I was doing it in a way that I was chasing it nonstop. And you know, it's scary when you have everything and addicts are throwing you out of their house because they're scared. Now I have a contract out for my life. It's my uncle. I'm not paying anything back. I'm putting baking soda in the streets. Me to make amends. Anybody ever bought baking soda? That was me. If you were in New York, because I'm doing my own supply. Remember, my uncle came to see me and said, "You know, you're in trouble when the good guys and the bad guys are looking for you. What are you doing?" And because I couldn't find that combination to have me check out again, I remember I invited death in my life, and this is how it looked. I had a contract out for my life, and I went to see him because I didn't have the money and I didn't have the coke. And I knew that he would take me out. And I went to that bar, and I waited 2 hours, and he never came, and they threw me out. And I just wanted him to take me out of my misery. And that's where I did the aimless walk with no purpose, no agenda, no destination. And I ended up in a church. And I said a prayer in that church. And here is where I believe the gift of desperation and the window of the grace of God collide with one another. And I asked God to allow me to feel the peace that I feel in that church inside of me. I just wanted a moment for my head to shut up and my skin to stop crawling and for my stomach to stop turning. I had no idea that prayer was going to change my life, y'all. I went from there, I went to my father. I asked my father for help. I had never asked for help before to anybody. I'll starve before I ask you for help. And I came to California. My mother is sober and my cousin. And I remembered the people in the rooms. The smiles, the laughter, the warmth, and the camaraderie. I remember you never shunned me, roll your eyes at me, suck your teeth at me, or try to shove a pamphlet down my throat. I'm grateful you didn't do that. I detoxed on that Greyhound bus and I arrived in downtown Los Angeles on March 29, 1990, wearing a size 1 pair of pants, 2 pants underneath, a huge sweatshirt. 4 months pregnant, didn't have a heartbeat by the time I got there. That was the 4th child I had lost. I haven't had the privilege of having children ever since. And my mother picked me up and dropped me off in the rooms and she left me there. I've been raised in these rooms. 3,000 miles from New York City to California. I didn't know anybody. That's a culture shock within itself. California is different from New York. Even today, when I go to the store, they're like, "Where you from?" I'm like, I'm trying not to be confrontational, I swear. I'm just trying to ask for milk. Like, I just don't know how to not come across, you know what I mean? So aggressive. That's just how we talk. Or telling people, I'm not yelling, I'm just talking. Trust me, when I'm quiet, that's when you should get nervous. When I'm silent, I'm like a chihuahua or something. I got no, you know what I mean? As long as I'm good. But when I get silent, everybody's like, "Uh-oh, are you okay? We're all in danger." I mean, like, say something. It's a culture shock being in, but I've been here, I live here. I have to adapt. But I've been spoon fed this program. Everything has been new. It's a new language, a new way of talk about new. Everything to me is new because I came here with a blank slate. I didn't know anything. I was using my whole life. There is a thing called memory, and some things come up. I remember when I went to school, the first time I went to school, and you have to take a test. I thought they were going to tell me I have to go back to kindergarten because I don't remember. I don't remember all my school years, and I used to get A's. But I always mention Marcy. Marcy came up to me when I came here and she told me that God don't make no junk. You've been praying for me. And she told me that I had a beautiful light inside of me and that we need a clean house for that light to shine. I still hear her and I recall that I believed her. And I find it odd that this total stranger would say something so contrary to anything I had heard and I believed. And I wanted to know what she saw. We stayed for so many reasons. I stayed because I wanted to know. Perhaps, yes, it's the last house on the block. I got nowhere else to go. But I remember I stayed because I was curious. What did this woman see in me? I thought I was garbage. All I ever heard was, you are nothing. You are nobody. You are insignificant. You are unimportant. You don't matter. That's all I ever heard. And she said, you matter. I, I don't know, you guys. I could have went, she's nuts. You know what I mean? Instead, I was like, what? It was as though she was like, they've been lying to you all along. You know what I'm saying? It's all a lie. And you have an illness that must be treated. And I sat down and I listened and I did everything you guys said. And perhaps because I'm an abusee, that's to my advantage. I got no pushback. I have no defiance. I follow directions. Maybe that was to my advantage. I know I work with people today and they alcoholics. I know they're defiant, don't want to follow direct. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm also an adult child of an alcoholic. I don't know. I just did what they told me to do. Why? Why not? What else am I going to do? Where am I going? What am I doing? This is a new way of life, and I'm going to have to learn it from somebody. And why don't I just give it a shot? And if it doesn't work, like my father said, the other three things will be waiting for me: jails, mental institutions, and death. I can always go back to that life. So let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens. I've done the uncomfortable until it became comfortable. Nothing ever made sense to me. This was a foreign language, and English is my second language, but the language of this program is ridiculous. I mean, the things that you would say, I'm like, but whatever. What's the worst that's going to happen? I remember I called my sponsor and I thought I had all this crisis, and she was like, bake a cake. And I remember, and she hung up on me. It wasn't even like I could negotiate that conversation, and she just hung up. And I was like, I don't think this lady heard anything I said. But I was like, but you know what? Let's give it a try and see what happens. Who knows? So I went and baked the cake. I called her, I said, I baked the cake. Now what? She said, cut a piece, sit down and eat it. Well, there you go. You go figure, whatever. It wasn't until hindsight that I learned she was showing me to live in the moment. When you bake a cake, it's interesting because she didn't have to explain that to me. She didn't have to say, you're going to bake a cake because you're going to learn how to be. She just said, bake a cake and hung up. And it was years later that what it was you have to count how many strokes. You know, you got to break the egg without the shell. And so what she told me was to be in the moment. I turned to the steps for living. So I put down the drink, I put down the cocaine, I put everything down, and I picked up the 12 steps because they're tools designed for living. I don't know how to do one without the other. Either I'm going to drink or I'm going to do the 12 steps. I don't have gray area. I don't know how to live in the gray because I don't know what that is. I've always had a dependence on something or someone. I don't think I was confused to believe that I was in charge. In charge of what? Alcohol was my higher power. I needed another one. And you guys found one. And the difference between the higher powers that all my life I've reached out for and have come out short is that this higher power empowers you so that the dependence on it gives you independence, as opposed to the other higher powers took away my independence. They took away my identity, my dignity, my self-respect. But this higher power seemed to restore that and to give you that. And that intrigued me. And as I said, I had lived in the world of spirit, and the earth was lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And you talked about You've now entered the world of spirit. Y'all, I don't even know how to describe when I heard that. I was like, what? You mean to tell me that the world of spirit that I distinctly thought was separate from this dimension can now live with one another? And they can come together? How special is that? I want to know what that's like. And I've done a lot of inner work because I want to discover the light in me. I want everything removed that's blocking me. I want to have a relationship with this power that empowers us. And I did give my life to God. And I said, take all of me, good and bad. What will you have me be? What will you have me do? This higher power works through intuition and insight and inspiration, and it gives me a brain to use. It is not a puppet master, and I'm not a chess piece on a chessboard. And it requires my participation. And it requires my commitment and my willingness to realign my will to it. It's beautiful. And I've had a very challenging life before I came here and in sobriety. And perhaps that's my soul contract. Perhaps that's what I signed up for before I even came here. In the first 24 years of my life, I had tools called alcohol and drugs. And now these years, I have 12 steps and 12 traditions in the program of Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon. You know what I mean? Like, I've got tools for living. So I can fulfill my purpose in life, to be of service, carry the message, let people know that there is a power that is infinite, that works for our highest good, direction and guidance for the greater good of all. I've taken care of most of my perpetrators and my abusers. Most of them have died. They're all gone. They're all gone. It's interesting, right? All the people wanting me dead are gone. We're in the role that God assigned. And throughout that journey of being I've been a caregiver for a long time. It wasn't until recently that I realized that every time I was showing up for them, I thought it was certainly an opportunity to clean house because they're the ones that put the buttons in there. People talk about triggers. It was an opportunity to see what was blocking me because only they can bring that out of me. You know, I always joke that my mother was always like, "You're not that spiritual. Watch this." I'm like, "You're right. I'm not." My mother could, ooh. And my mother lived in my house. I continue to take care of my mom my entire life. Like somebody told me your baby died. That was like my daughter. I would even dress her like me. Just like she had Alzheimer's, so if she got lost, I'd be like, she looks like me, she's dressed like me. I think that's why parents dress their kids like them. I don't know, but I've been cleaning house, man. So I can get closer to this power, so I can get guidance and direction. And sometimes I do get weary. And sometimes I wonder. I'm in the garden, I'm in the valley. I see more people have crisis problems and they're short lived. I have the reverse. I usually have great moments. You know, it's trippy when your sponsor's always doing inventory after they talk to you. I mean, my sponsors, every time I get done talking to my sponsor, reading my inventory, they'd be like, what? You know what I mean? They did what? You know, my sponsor, what's happening? Oh, I gotta go talk to God because I don't understand. I got sponsees that stay sober just to see me get through the day. And although I don't want to be insensitive of what people are going through, I'm like, if anybody's going to have a drink around here, it's me. And if I'm not drinking, you're not drinking. Because this program works. Under the worst circumstances, not a thought has occurred to me to drink or to use. I suit up and I show up. And I be of service. I've been saying this lately. I know that God is a show off. But so much has happened. And I'm left with surrendering everything. And I don't usually get a break. And I don't think anybody's going to show up to rescue me. But what I have found, and this could change, I think things change as I grow and clean house, trusting God and be of service. I don't know how not to give this program away. My purpose is to stay sober and carry the message. I think about Bill W. Just that he never got back all that stuff again. But I've arrived at this place lately about this permission thing with God. That a lot of things have been taken away from me without my permission. Cars, houses. Right now I'm on my credit score, my line of credit, my credit cards. Jobs. I've built companies and they turned around and took it. And I'm not talking about my own thing, creating problems. I'm a good girl, sometimes at fault. I remember one time my sponsor, my grand sponsor, Ralph, was like, your greatest asset is also your liability. I can do an inventory in a minute, but I never see that this is your crap, not mine. I always take the blame for everything. It's always my fault. I've had people love me today, don't want nothing to do with me tomorrow. My virginity was taken away at 5 without my permission. I don't remember saying it was okay. My childhood was taken away without my permission. I remember having a vote on that. Parkinson's took away my dad without my permission. Cancer, my brother, without my permission. Although I had power of attorney, although I had advance directive and made decisions to put them on life support or machines or not, or take them off, I don't think I really had too much of a decision because basically they were brain dead. And what else was I to do? Anything else would have been selfish. Alzheimer's, my mother, without my permission. My uncle with cancer without my permission. My best friend with cancer without my permission. My partner got COVID. They don't claim it to be COVID. They just medical separation, completely disabled, loss of income, loss of everything without my permission. Everybody died without life insurance. I don't think anybody gave my permission of how was I supposed to bury them and handle their affairs when they died. There's no will, there's no money. I don't think anybody asked me for my permission. But that's my assignment. And if God assigns me to do it, then I show up and I get the strength and the support necessary to pull it off. But I don't think anybody ever asked my permission. A lot has happened to me without my permission. It's interesting. I'm in a very precarious situation. You know, my nephews, my brother left behind 2 boys and he was a single dad and I helped raise them. And when he died, their mothers showed up after they 10 years, 14 years and said, those are my children. You drop them off and you leave us alone. We want nothing to do with you. I don't remember her asking my permission if that was okay. But lucky they were older enough to invite me into that space. I know the oldest, for whatever reason, felt that, I don't know. I still don't know why he stopped talking to me and his mother stopped talking to me. Without my permission, I'm no longer relevant. I pray, I do inventory, I'm willing to take ownership if I participate in it. But a lot has happened without my permission. And even recently, my couple minutes out, my youngest nephew called me, and my oldest nephew lives in Maine, has something going on with his kidneys and blood pressure, and he's concerned and scared, reminded of my dad, you know, his dad, my brother. And I said, I have to pray on it because I'm uninvited into their life. And I have to see where God wants me in this. I don't impose. Just like God, I don't believe imposes himself on us. So I have to pray on what do I do with this. I'm not even reached out for under these circumstances, right? So this is happening without my permission and without my invitation. And it's difficult. So many things have happened without my permission. I've had elders, even in my priest and my role as a priest, could create a whole conspiracy to take my legacy away from me and my religious rights without my permission. You know, that contract that I had for my life, I had to make amends. He told me to stay clean and sober. And the day that I got loaded was the day that my life belonged to him. So for me to tell you to stay sober doesn't, it's not a metaphor for me to die. I will die. He will take my life, or maybe live a sex slave or something. Every year I do call and say another 365, Papa, what's happening? How you doing? I'm always be they be clocking my sobriety. But if I don't stay in unity, recovery, and service, that don't keep me clean and sober. I don't know about y'all. That don't, because if I don't stay in the middle of this, forget about it. He'd probably be the first one I call and be like, yo, check this out. I got a proposition for you. You give me another 2, right? Oh my goodness. So there's a bunch of stuff, y'all, I got hanging by the ballot, man. Oh, Lord have mercy. So this is where I've arrived at. Since so much has been taken away without my permission, there's one thing that I have that is mine to cherish, to polish, to expand upon it, to enlarge on it, to preserve it like a glass menagerie, to never take it for granted, and that is my sobriety. Because nobody could take this away from me. Nobody. Is the one thing that I get to give away, me, and it's only I who will throw it away. It'll be me. So because this is the only thing that I truly have that requires my permission, then I think I'm going to keep doing it. I think I'm going to do everything I possibly can to preserve it and to keep it. And by doing so is by giving it away, is why I'm here today. To tell you that this is such a gift that nobody could take away. And it gives me access to a source that is extraordinary, that works from the inside out, that does not fail. And it doesn't mean give me the things I want, means doesn't fail. Doesn't fail because it gives me stability, clarity, gives me a brain to use, gives me inspiration, gives me guidance and direction, gives me wholeness and completeness and usness, gives me purpose and meaning. I like that. I like that. I cherish that. And I honor it and I respect it. I still don't know what's to come for me. We're going to see what happens. Thank God we only do this one day at a time. I got a lot going on with me these days. I'm a little overwhelmed and I'm burying in a lot of things. I feel buried. I've been feeling like I'm in a tsunami, a lot of stuff. And I learned if you don't know what to do, don't do nothing. So right now, that's where I'm at. I don't know what to do nothing. And there's something that I always resort to. I can't figure out my life. I can't figure out all that's happening. Everything feels like it's falling apart. Can't get a grasp of anything. I just got to let go of all of it. And then I go, you know what? You know what I can do? I could treat my alcoholism and I could treat my addiction. I could show up at a meeting. I could put up some chairs. I can call a newcomer. I could pick up a pen and paper. I can clean house. And somehow, I don't know, that's freeing to me, y'all. That's what I can do. I could treat my alcoholism and enlarge my relationship with God. And then the answers will come when my house is in order. And until then, I'll just keep showing up. So if nobody told you they love you today, I truly, truly do. Oh, I'm so emotional today. Again, I'm proud and I'm grateful um, for all that you guys have given me. I want to thank you for allowing the God in you to help discover the God in me so I can do the same for others. And I'm not sure what recording that was. That was a long time ago. I forgot to mention whoever put the recording of the announcement. My goodness, I was so young. I can hear it in my voice. I don't know. Today I look in the mirror and I'll be like, life has kicked your ass. But but I that recording, somebody could tell me what that was that you posted of the flyer. I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago. Uh thus we grow and life has happened. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all so much for allowing me to participate in my recovery. I appreciate you.